On the day of our grand wedding, Pei ditched me and ran with his childhood sweetheart away. Just then, a string of characters appeared before my eyes. This angsty novel's female lead isn't thinking of killing herself, is she? My heart sank. How could it know my thoughts? No way. No way. The netizens' mammary glands are mammary glands too. Forget it. I'd better hurry and find a strong female lead novel to save the mammary glands. Speaking of which, if she were a strong, it can be like this. Although I was a bit skeptical, I still gathered my courage and spoke. Everyone here, is there anyone willing to marry? Marry me. Everyone thought I'd lost my mind. But unexpectedly someone actually stood up. This prince is willing to take Miss Shen as my wife. I didn't expect this female lead from an angsty novel, who seems so spineless, to be such a good kid who actually listens to advice. Hey everyone, don't leave yet. One on the day of her grand wedding with PCUN Xu Ying, carrying a red tasseled long spear, burst into the wedding hall. I was wearing a fiery red wedding dress, holding a round fan, and was just about to perform the husband and wife bow ceremony with PCUN. But I was knocked aside by her with a spear. PCUN, you can't marry her. And why not? PCUN's eyes were mocking, but his gaze never left her. He didn't even notice that his own wife's clothes had been torn and her hair knocked into disarray by his childhood sweetheart's spear. I stumbled a few steps before slowly steadying myself. Then I heard her say disdainfully, "You are an eagle in the sky, and Shen Rongyu is just a canary kept in a cage. A delicate woman like her is not worthy of you at all. Besides, her status is lowly, a world of difference from yours. You can't just marry some nameless woman as your wife just because I rejected you. A Yuan, you can't marry her. That sounds like the truth, after all. I am really just an ordinary woman who never sets foot outside the door and was taught to follow the 3 obediences and 4 virtues since childhood. My father is also just a minor county magistrate's assistant, and a girl from a small and humble household like ours would normally never have gotten involved with a noble family like the house of Marquis Xuanping in her entire life. It is only because I once saved his life when I was a child. I was 11 that year when I found him on the side of the road during a spring outing. He was badly hurt, and I paid someone to heal him. He said he'd admired me for a long time and was certain I was the only wife for him in this life. But then he turned around and left without saying goodbye. Holding the hairpin he gave me, I was heartbroken for a long time, thinking we were no longer fated to be together in this life. But 3 months ago he came to my door in person to ask for my hand in marriage. I was mad at him for leaving without a word before, so I refused to marry him. He was the one who pestered and begged, used every trick in the book, and even threatened to die, before I finally agreed to marry him. I waited for Pesi to object, but instead, he asked Xu Ying in return. You say Shen Rongyu isn't good enough for me, so who is you? Stop messing around, my silly little sister. Be good and step aside. Don't hold up your big brother's wedding night. He dotingly rubbed Xu Ying's cheek and told her to leave, but Xu Ying took the chance to grab PCUN's arm, dragging him outside. Anyway, I don't care. Don't you even think about marrying this woman today, PCUN. I couldn't bother with composure and rushed up to stop them. You can't just leave like this. You can't do this to me, but he gently pushed me away. Rongyu, be good. Wait for me to come back and I'll explain then. Don't go, PCUN. I am scared. I once again grabbed his sleeve, crawling on my knees to beg him, but he remained unmoved. With everyone watching, she took Xu Ying's hand and left, leaving me alone to face the room full of guests. Amidst the crowd's whispers, my heart sank to rock bottom, and a touch of despair welled up in my heart. What do I do? What should I do? Who will come and save me? At this very moment, a string of unfamiliar characters suddenly appeared before my eyes. And though I didn't recognize them, I knew their meaning clearly. Don't tell me the female lead of this angsty novel is thinking of committing suicide. My heart sank. How could it know my thoughts? The thought of suicide did indeed flash through my mind just now. A woman, on her wedding day, in front of everyone, was abandoned by her own husband, who left with another woman. Other than committing suicide to prove my innocence, I can't think of any other way. But those words seemed as if they could read my mind. Woo woo woo, has the female lead been pooed stupid? It is clearly the male lead and the female side character being scumbags, using her as a part of their play. But she feels she needs to use her death to prove her innocence. So pitiful. No way, no way. Netizens have mammary glands too. What kind of old-fashioned number female lead is this? Forget it. Don't get angry, don't get angry. If you get sick from anger, no one will treat you. I'd better hurry and find a strong female lead novel to save my mammary glands. Speaking of which, if this were a strong female lead, she would have already swapped for a new man and be in the bridal chamber by now. Strong female lead. What is that? Switching to another man. You can do that, Evrione. Stop fighting. Seeing that I still hadn't made a move, Paisiyuan's father, Marquis Schwamping, my father-in-law-to-be, finally couldn't sit still any longer. He coughed and apologized to my father. This rebellious son is truly infuriating, but his face showed not a shred of apology, and his attitude was extremely arrogant. In-law, don't you worry. When he comes back, I will definitely teach him a good lesson and make him give Rongyue a proper explanation. For now, we can only let Rongyue suffer this grievance first. As he spoke, he ordered a servant to go find a rooster. And to this, my father could only meekly agree. Just then, I quietly raised my hand. Wait a minute. There is no need for all this trouble. Since Paisiyuan dared to abandon me on our wedding day, in front of all the guests, and leave with General Xu, he must have been in love with General Xu for a long time. Why should I insist on clinging to Paisiyuan and break up this pair of star-crossed lovers? We might as well just call off this marriage. Saying this, I bowed deeply to those seated above. A hint of mockery appeared on Marquis Schwamping's stern, square face. He toyed with the teacup in his hand. Non-committally, instead, it was Paisiyuan's younger sister, Pi Muyao, who couldn't hold back, immediately flaring up and smashing the teacup on the table. She pointed at my and my dad's noses and started screaming curses. What kind of thing are you, daring to tell my daddy what to do? Just as expected of a village woman from the countryside, even if brother invited a governess from the palace to teach etiquette. It's still a waste. Assistant Magistrate Shen. Is this how you teach your daughter? The young lady is right. It is all my fault. It is all my fault for not teaching my daughter. Well, it is all my fault. Daddy hastily knelt down to take the blame for me. I couldn't bear to see my father be humiliated, so I replied to Pei Miao. You've learned all the rules, sure, but I don't see how you are any better than a village woman like me. But this skill of using your power to bully people, that is truly something I could never learn in my entire life. Shut up. I never thought Dad would slap me so hard across the face. I covered my swollen cheek looking at him in disbelief. He averted his gaze. I was held down firmly by my dad, forcing me to kneel to Marquis Schwamping and Pei Miao, to kowtow and admit my mistake. Among all the guests in the room, not a single person would stand up and speak for me, as if everything was a matter of course. I wanted to kneel, but I was held captive by those few lines of subtitles that just flashed before my eyes, and my knees wouldn't bend. It was clearly Paisiyuan and Xu Rong's fault, so why should I be the one to be humiliated? Why is it that he can leave me for another woman, but I can't call off the engagement and refuse to marry, and instead have to compromise, perform the wedding ceremony with a rooster, and then wait alone in an empty room for him to have a change of heart? Why? I cried and repeatedly questioned them loudly, finally arousing a little bit of sympathy from the guests. They looked sympathetic, but they still advised me to endure it. Ignoring my father's beatings and attempts to stop me, I insisted on breaking off the engagement. Pei Muyao laughed at me. Shen Rongyue, you are a bit too naive, aren't you? Let's not even mention that you come from a minor family, a poor girl from the countryside, completely unworthy. Even if my father really grants your request, do you think anyone would dare to marry a woman cast aside by my Marquis Schwamping's residence? Just accept your fate, Shen Rongyu. Being able to be the sheezy consort of my Marquis Schwamping's residence is already a blessing you've cultivated over who knows how many lifetimes. Don't be so tactless to even dream of getting my older brother's true heart. I remained unmoved, turned to all the guests who had come for the ceremony and said, "Everyone here, is anyone willing to marry me?" I stumbled through my words, but they clearly reached the ears of every guest at the scene. Everyone thought I had gone mad. Father was so scared he fell and sat on the ground, and Marquis Schwamping was so angry he flicked his sleeves and left the scene on the spot. Pei Miao called over the house servants to drag me away by force. I ran, asking them one by one, "Are you willing to marry me? Are you willing to marry me? Are you willing to marry me?" No one answered. A feeling of despair washed over me again just then. A gentle and warm voice, like a sound from heaven, came from outside the door. "This prince is willing to take Miss Shen as my wife." At the same time, the bullet comments, which hadn't appeared for a long time, reappeared. Ooh, not bad. Not bad. I almost rage quit just now. I didn't expect this. I really didn't. I know, right? I also didn't expect this angst-fic female lead, who looks like such a pushover, to be such a good kid who listens to advice. Everyone, don't leave yet. Sisters, come back quick. Watch our newly awakened angst-fic female lead viciously slap the faces of the male lead and his trashy family. The entire place was dead silent. The tall figure walked straight up to me, extended a hand as elegant as jade with well-defined knuckles, and helped me up. "Are you all right?" I was stunned, and let him help me up. He closed his fan, took out what looked like a very expensive silk handkerchief from his robes, and carefully wiped the tears from the corners of my eyes. His smile was gentle, and his crisp voice was like the warm March sun. "I am Shiziu, a sickly prince. Miss, would you be willing to marry me?" I was stunned for a moment, and by the time I reacted, I was so scared I almost fell over again. It was actually the legendary Prince Chi, the one with the bizarre personality who kills without blinking, and I heard he has erectile dysfunction. I looked around, hesitated for a long time, and finally gritted my teeth and stammered out my agreement. I am willing. So what if he is impotent? It is still way better than Pei Siyuan, who ditched his bride on their wedding day. Besides, he is a prince, the emperor's younger brother. Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, she actually hooked a prince. How can this useless female lead be so lucky? Duh, all the handsome men in the world fall for me. The protagonist's halo isn't just for show. Ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Madame Li, the wife of Marquis Schwamping, was so angry that she fainted on the spot. Brother Chi Pei Muyao wanted to speak, but was immediately gagged and dragged away by the guards Shi Ziyu brought. But at the scene, not a single person dared to step forward and stop them. They just wanted to quietly get away from this place of trouble. Shi Ziyu didn't give them this chance. Instead, he invited Marquis Schwamping, who had just flicked his sleeves and left back in. He first walked up to my father and questioned him. "PC Yuan humiliated your daughter like this. And not only do you not stand up for your own daughter, you instead force her to grovel and swallow her grievances. Do you really think your own daughter was wrong?" Father mumbled in assent, lowering his head, unable to say a word. Then, County Magistrate Shen, are you willing to give Rongyu to me as my wife? My dad nodded repeatedly. Of course he didn't dare to disobey. Then, he turned his gaze to Marquis Schwamping. Since your son and female General Shu are mutually in love, and he publicly abandoned the bride on the wedding day to leave, this marriage contract is naturally void. Under these circumstances, when I, this prince, ask to marry this Miss Shen, it can't be considered snatching number, can it? Marquis. The look Marquis Schwamping gave me was as if laced with poison, and he replied through gritted teeth. But of course, after saying that, he flicked his long sleeves, intending to close the door and see us off. But Shizio, as if he didn't understand, instead pulled me to the main table, got a stool for me to sit on, picked up his chopsticks, and started eating the feast. He handed me a peach crisp. You've been tired for so long, you must be starving. Eat a peach crisp to pad your stomach. I looked at the peach crisp in my hand, my nose tingled, and I almost started crying again. Don't cry, you are going to be my bride in a bit. Don't you cry your eyes out, or this king's heart will ache. Just like that, he wiped away my tears, his heart aching, while I held the peach crisp and sobbed intermittently. Marquis Xuanping couldn't stand the sight, fuming and glaring, but there was nothing at all he could do about Shiziu. Finally, he went into the back hall again, took out a letter of divorce and threw it at me. If your highness still has concerns. Here is the letter of divorce I wrote on behalf of my son. With this, can your highness leave with your esteemed wife? No way were people in ancient times this wild. They could even divorce a wife on behalf of their son. The author who wrote this story seems like a moron too. The poster above is just being ignorant. In ancient times, the parents' command and the matchmaker's words were no joke. Learned something new, noted. Plus Wang Ziziu took the letter of divorce and smiled even more brilliantly. Taking a light sip of tea, he replied, Marquis Xuanping, you are overthinking things. The reason this prince is shamelessly lingering is because I have an impertinent request. There is a small matter I need the Marquis to help me with. As he spoke, his smile vanished, and he suddenly lifted his robes and knelt before Marquis Xuanping. Marquis Xuanping was startled and hurriedly stepped forward to help Shiziu up. What a joke. Although Shiziu was an unlearned and unskilled, idle prince with no official position, he was still the current emperor's own full-blooded younger brother. How could he possibly bear being knelt to by him? But Shiziu just stubbornly refused to get up. If the Marquis doesn't agree, this prince won't get up, he said, starting to act like a rascal, which made everyone present almost burst out laughing. All the officials and nobles who came to observe the ceremony today really had their eyes opened. Your Highness, please speak. This old one will surely give my all and do everything in my power. Left with no choice, Marquis Xuanping could only agree. Only then did Shiziu, satisfied, pat the non-existent dust off his body and slowly stand up. Rong Yu, come over here. He smiled and beckoned to me. But when I walked over, he made me kneel and kowtow to Marquis Xuanping. I was just about to resist when I heard Shiziu say unhurriedly to Marquis Xuanping, I wish to marry Yuer as my wife. And Yuer herself has also agreed. But with her status, I am afraid she cannot become this prince's official wife. Since Yuer and your son aren't destined to be husband and wife, but she did enter your household after all. How about you adopt Yuer as your daughter, and let the two of them be brother and sister? Marquis, what do you think of this prince's idea? How can this be? Is your highness joking with this old man? Marquis Xuanping was so angry his face turned livid, and he was shaking uncontrollably. Jiziu's tone changed. Marquis, you just promised me here. Don't tell me you want to go back on your word now? Marquis Xuanping struggled desperately, hastily pulling my daddy forward as a shield. On such a major matter, shouldn't your highness also ask for Brother Shen's opinion? After all, even if this old man is willing to acknowledge Rong Yu, Brother Shen may not be willing to part with his beloved to me. It is all up to your highness and your lordship. This humble one has no opinion. My dad hurriedly knelt on the ground to make his stance clear. After all, with two big shots clashing, what right does a minor county magistrate's assistant like him have to speak? Finally, Marquis Xuanping couldn't get out of it and had to reluctantly acknowledge me as his convenient daughter. Even though I didn't get it, I inexplicably trusted that he was doing it for my own good. I immediately gave 3 loud kowtows, and under Marquis Xuanping's forced smile sweetly called out, Daddy. I watched helplessly as he was about to pass out. A pale-faced scholar immediately stepped out from the group. Shiziu brought, stuck a needle in his hand, and just like that, he couldn't pass out anymore. Finally, Marquis Xuanping and Madame Li were invited back into the wedding hall, and the wedding continued. It is just that the groom was changed to Shiziu, and my status changed from the Shizi's wife of the Marquis Xuanping's residence to Princess Qi. Before leaving, Shiziu even ruthlessly extorted a hefty sum of dowry money from Marquis Xuanping for me. 3 that night, when Shiziu took me to the storeroom, handed me the dowry list, and had me watch with my own eyes as those things were put into storage, I felt like the bullet comments were going to go crazy. As a country bumpkin who has never seen the world, this dowry list feels longer than my life. Suddenly I feel like it is not such a bad thing that the female lead got dumped by the scumbag. After all, she only lost a scumbag. but gained a mountain of gold and a handsome guy who dotes on his wife like his own life. In terms of status, she even totally crushes the male lead. I want to transmigrate into the female lead. Upstairs. Don't forget, he is impotent. So what? He is already this outstanding, and you can't even allow him to have one tiny little flaw. As they were talking, the bullet comments from both sides started fighting. I looked at them and laughed in spite of myself. What are you thinking about? A handsome face, as gentle and refined as jade, suddenly appeared in my chaotic view, blocking my sight of the bullet comments. His approaching presence left me a little flustered, and my ears instantly flushed red. Nothing. Me wife. You don't seem to be very interested in these worldly things of gold and silver. Is it that you still can't get over that person's? Still think ill of the Peiki family's East number, and don't want it? That is not it. I quickly shook my head and turned around, not daring to look at him anymore. It is not that I can't let go. It is just that I've never seen so much gold and silver. I am a little dizzy. But he grabbed me and picked me up bridal style. My wife, it is late. We should get some rest. As he spoke, he carried me back to the bedroom. Inside the room, the red lanterns were brightly lit. The candle shadows flickered red. He passed by the table with the nuptial wine cups, placed me directly on the bed, squatted down, and took off my shoes and socks for me. So this is the consummation of our marriage. I was extremely nervous, gripping my sleeves tightly, not daring to move. The desire to be the strong female lead that the bullet comments talked about suddenly wasn't so strong anymore. I became shy and awkward. After all, we've only known each other for half a day. To just give myself to him like this, isn't it too fast? But all of this was my own choice, wasn't it? Once the bow is drawn, the arrow cannot be recalled. When I had mentally prepared myself, ready to accept this, I opened my eyes, but saw that he had already made a bed on the floor and laid down. My wife, don't be afraid. I won't force you until you are ready. As he spoke, he squeezed my hand, signaling for me to be at ease. This man, I am crying to death. The female lead really hit the jackpot this time. The next day, before the sky was light, Pei Siyuan took a silver spear and broke through the main gate of Prince Qi, Your Highness. Heir Pei says you are shameless, that you forcefully seized number, and demands you hand over the princess consort. The guards couldn't hold him back, and by the time they rushed over to report in a panic, Pei Siyuan had already passed through the main hall and was about to break down the door. Got it. All of you withdraw for now. This prince has my own plan. Zhizio, who was originally sleeping on a pallet on the floor, heard the guard's words, got up, picked up the bedding from the floor and stuffed it into the wardrobe, then walked over to the bed and made a bow to me. My lady, Ziyu has been reckless. Pei Siyuan hadn't arrived yet, but his silver spear flew in. Shi Ziyu, you number. Piss this young master off, and I'll burn down this crappy prince's mansion of yours. Ziziu casually grabbed a red date and threw it over, and the silver spear fell to the ground. At the same time, Pei Siyuan flashed inside. Foreseeing me being held in Shiziu's arms, he was fuming with rage, veins popping, and came up to hit Shiziu. But unexpectedly, I spread my arms and tightly shielded Shiziu behind me. You hurry and get out of the way. Let me kill this despicable and shameless villain who took advantage of the situation. Afraid of hurting me, he quickly withdrew his fist, extremely flustered and exasperated. I looked at him coldly. He is my husband. If you want to kill him, then kill me first. His raised fist tightened and loosened and tightened, and finally dropped, as he squeezed out an extremely ugly smile. You are still mad at me, aren't you? I know. You are mad that I left you high and dry at the wedding, but I had my reasons. I promise you, it will absolutely never happen again. Just forgive me this once. Okay. As he spoke, he glanced at Shi Ziyu, who was only in his inner clothes, then at me with my clothes in disarray, and swallowed hard. He extremely awkwardly took my hand. You don't have to be afraid, even if this beast really did that kind of shameful thing to you. I won't look down on you. As for father and mother's side, don't worry. With me here, no one will dare to gossip about you. Don't be mad at me anymore, okay? I disgustedly shook off his dirty hand, and before I could even speak, I saw the bullet comments. The female lead must have been seriously blind back then. Right? How could she have saved a number like the male lead? He can't explain himself for ditching the female lead on their wedding day and making her perform the wedding ceremony with a rooster. But instead has the audacity to despise the female lead. He has really taken double standards to the extreme. This cracked me up. This male lead is brain dead, right? Who apologizes like this, starting off by spreading a rumor that the female lead lost her chastity. Just because he is a rotten cucumber himself, he thinks everyone is the same as him, huh? Seeing that I wasn't saying anything, he thought his persuasion was working and continued. It is all my fault. I am the one who offended this kid. He is retaliating out of a personal grudge and dragged you into it. Don't worry, I won't blame you. Come back with me, Number. I really couldn't bear it anymore. I raised my hand and gave him a slap. With a smack! The world suddenly fell silent. The rage in my heart was thus unleashed. And in that moment, the wifely speech, wifely virtue, and wifely work that had followed me like a shadow since childhood, weighing me down to the point I could barely breathe, all seemed to vanish without a trace, and I felt a sense of ease I had never known before. Pei Siyuan was stunned by the slap, stupefied for a long while, still somewhat in disbelief. You err. How could you? What is wrong with me? Let me tell you, Pei Siyuan, you deserved this slap. First thing in the morning you barge into my home, try to kill my husband without getting the facts straight, and slander my innocence. Is this the great style of young General Pi? I deserve it. I deserve to be hit. You err however you want to hit or scold me, I'll take it all. Just come home with me first, okay? He finally realized I wasn't just throwing a tantrum at him, and hurriedly grabbed my sleeve, wanting to forcibly take me away. But his arm was grabbed by Shizuyu. Yuer is my royal consort now. Where she wants to go is her own decision. Young Lord Pei, please show some self-respect. He was finally no longer arrogant, looking at me pleadingly. Yuer, come back with me. Okay, I really have my own difficulties. I sneered. I don't care what difficulties you have on our wedding day. When you left me and ran off with another woman, our fate together came to an end. Now, I am your sworn sister, and you are my sworn brother. Please don't come and pester me anymore. Yuer, listen to me. He still wanted to come over and pull at me, but found that I was pulled back onto the bed by Shizuyu. Simone, send my brother-in-law back to his manor. I paid them no more mind, turned to sit against the wall, watching Shizuyu and Pei Siyuan in their standoff. What, brother-in-law still isn't leaving? Do you want to stay and watch us in our bridal chamber? Pei Siyuan's face flushed red with anger. Yuan, they've already told us to leave. What are you still lingering here for? Come with me. As he hesitated between staying and leaving, Shu Ying burst in. She was in a red outfit, looking heroic and dashing, and was even holding a man's undershirt in her hand. She came up to take Pei Siyuan's hand, but was shaken off by Pei Siyuan. You, what are you doing here at this? His face directly flushed to the color of pig liver. Didn't we say we were already quits? She sullenly withdrew her hand, very naturally stuffed that men's t-shirt into his arms, and said flatly, Oh, I am here to return this. I don't know if it was my imagination, but in the instant that Shu Ying was flung aside by Pei Siyuan, a look of displeasure suddenly appeared on the face of Shizuyu, who had been smiling in a devil-may-care way and pretending to kiss me. 5 in the end that day, Pei Siyuan still left with Shu Ying. After he went back, he had someone send over many things again, and also had Pei Muyao relay a message to me, saying he was sorry to me. He also said that since I like these things that reek of money, he would use them to compensate me. It is said that he emptied out more than half of the Marquise's mansion. Pei Muyao was being passive-aggressive, relaying Pei Siyuan's words one by one in a mocking tone, certain that I wouldn't dare to accept the things again, and was just using this to humiliate and belittle me. Since it is a kind gesture from you, brother, then it would be impolite for Rong Yue to refuse. I curtsied, and graciously took the item list from Pi Muyao's hand. But when I realized I had accepted it so calmly, I was stunned for a moment. Shen Rong Yu. You? Rong Yu understands brother's intentions. It is getting late, so I won't keep you any longer. Little sister, please see yourself out. Just leave the things. Shen Rongyu, who the hell do you think you are, daring to tell this young lady to get lost? Pei Muyao was furious, stamped her foot, and rushed up to hit me. But just as she was about to succeed, she shrank back. Her face red, her voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz. Brother Ziyu. I only then realized that Shi Ziyu was standing behind me. I am not sure since when. It is windy outside. Wife, be careful not to catch a chill. He ignored Pi Muyao's advances, took off his cloak, draped it over me, and carefully tied the straps. She is just a fickle number. Number. Your Highness. Don't be fooled by her. Pei Muyao was very unhappy about this, shoved me aside, and hugged Shi Ziyu's arm, earnestly pleading with him. Miss Pei, please. Have some self-respect. Shi Ziyu, as if he had caught the plague, fiercely shoved her away and came over to steady me. Besides, it is not for an outsider to tell me what my wife's character is like. In the end, Pei Muyao was dragged out of the prince's manor by the guards. I don't know how Pei Muyao went back and embellished the story, but at the morning court session the next day, officials on good terms with the Marquis Xuanping's residents submitted memorials one after another. They said I was just the daughter of a minor official, unworthy of the position of princess consort, that even being a concubine would be me marrying up. And they asked His Majesty to select a new consort for Prince Qi, but Shi Ziyu insisted on making me his principal consort, and for this, he didn't hesitate to personally announce his own impotence, even saying that in this life, he would only have me as his wife, and if His Majesty disagreed, he would splatter his blood on the spot. This scared His Majesty so much that he rushed out a supplementary imperial edict for the marriage that very night. The Empress Dowager also had someone send me a pair of dragon and phoenix jade pillows, and with that, no one dared to gossip about me anymore. And I didn't even have to show my face, and this storm that had arisen because of me had already settled. 6 in the end, Shi Ziyu was carried back by the guards. Although His Majesty ultimately and reluctantly acknowledged the marriage, he still punished Shi Ziyu for his outrageous behavior with 20 strokes of the military cane, to be administered by Pei Siyuan, which served as a way for everyone to save face. Looking at Shi Ziyu beaten until his skin was split, and his flesh was exposed, his face pale, my heart clenched violently. Why? He had stood up for me that day and saved me from a terrible situation, and I hadn't even had a chance to thank him. I never expected that today. He would actually offend His Majesty for my sake, threatening him with his own death, just to make everyone acknowledge me as his properly wedded princess consort, and even swearing to never take a concubine. Actually, whether it's the main consort or a side consort, or even just a concubine, it doesn't matter to Rong Yu. Why, tears unconsciously rolled down. Ah, this king, in this state, is indeed a bit scary. He struggled to pull a playful smile, wanting to make me laugh. Don't cry. This king swears. From now on, no one will dare bully my wife again. Was it worth it? It was I who got Your Highness into trouble. Please punish me, Your Highness. This time he didn't avoid it again, but instead grabbed both my hands and told me very seriously, yeah, when I do things, there is no worth it or not, only willing or not. So you don't have to feel guilty, got it? He tapped my nose, the smile in the corners of his eyes like the warm March sun. If you insist on punishing yourself, then your punishment is to be my princess consort for life. Smooth talker, I sniffled, smiling through my tears, and didn't press the matter further. Whatever, since it has come to this, I'll just have to reluctantly accept this new husband. His Majesty personally issued the decree. This time, no one can escape. That night, Shi Ziyu spent the whole night wailing and howling, and I spent the whole night applying ointment to him. Twisted, is this something I can watch so coldly without paying? Ever since the day Shizuo was carried back to the prince's mansion, no one in the imperial court dared to discuss the matter anymore. But I, on the other hand, shot to fame among the common people. Everyone says I am the reincarnation of a fox spirit, skilled in the art of seduction and good at bewitching people. First, I seduced P.C.Yuan, making him determined to marry me at any cost. Then, being fickle and promiscuous, I took a fancy to Prince Chi's power at the wed. Ing called off the marriage on the spot to marry him instead, causing Prince Chi and the heir of Marquis Xuanping to get into a big fight over me, yet turning Xu Ying, who had forcibly ruined my wedding banquet, into a goddess who came to rescue P.C.Yuan from his dire straits. All of a sudden, I'd somehow become a plague god that everyone in the capital was shouting to beat and kill, while Xu Ying, who was once seen as outrageous and a disgrace to the refined in the eyes of those scholar officials, had now become their ideal type. But I just turned a deaf ear to all of it, burying myself in farmland properties, land deeds, and account books. So busy my head was spinning. 7 that day, Shizuo had someone deliver the matching token into my hands. Also moved over at the same time were 10 boxes. Once opened, aside from a thick stack of account books, the rest were all sorts of title deeds for farmlands and shops. I jumped and was subconsciously about to go find Shizuo. But I crashed right into him as he was just about to come in. The base of my ears instantly turned red, and I was even stuttering a little when I spoke. Shizuo, what do you mean by this? It is nothing, just letting you get familiar with the household affairs. From now on, this Prince Chi's mansion will have to rely. He helped me onto the couch, gently massaging the spot that had just been bumped red. Does it still hurt? I shook my head, wringing my handkerchief, extremely nervous. But I've never. The long, unseen bullet comments appeared again. Hurry and agree to him. Isn't it just managing accounts? Female lead, don't chicken out. I just got my CPA. I'll help you. I do HR. I can help you train employees. Oops, my bad. I just accidentally saw the deeds to the restaurants. I am a hotel management major. So how about you just hand over these 10 restaurants to this old servant? Female lead, don't listen to them bragging. My family really has a publicly listed company. I have rich experience in managing publicly listed companies, and I was born to love helping others. So how about you just hand those 50 jewelry stores over to me? The bullet comments started fighting again. Ziziu sensed my nervousness, squatted down, and held my hand to comfort me. It is okay. I'll handle everything. I will personally teach you, said, with the utmost apology, marrying a good-for-nothing like me whose prospects for a title are cut off, with no official post or job, and who even has a hidden illness. You've been wronged. You err. All right, now nobody has to argue anymore. The bullet comments finally stopped the endless flame war. No, but seriously, where the hell did this love-brained background character Prince come from? This protagonist halo is way too exaggerated. An angst fic suddenly turned into a sweet doting fic, and I had no choice but to apprehensively accept this troublesome after that. With the help of Shizuo and the bullet comments, I spent 3 months sorting out the mansion's accounts. 5 months later, I knew everything under Prince Chi's mansion's name like the back of my hand, and had the entire mansion from top to bottom running in perfect order. The bullet comments affectionately called me innate worker saint body, and suggested I go into business. All this time, I had basically followed every piece of advice from the bullet comments, but on this matter alone, I hesitated. Scholars, farmers, artisans, and merchants since ancient times. Doing business has always been considered the lowest class. I remember when I was a kid, there was one year, my family was so poor we had nothing to cook. A villager asked my dad to go to Dianzhong to trade tea, a round trip of just 3 days that could solve our pressing needs. But my dad would rather sell me for rice than go. Luckily, I received help from my aunt, so I wasn't sold off by daddy. Me dad at that time was just a down-and-out scholar, and even he was so resistant to this matter. As an imperial relative, it must be even more so for Shizuo. Plus, I am a woman, and a princess consort at that. This matter, no matter how I think about it, is full of countless difficulties and dangers. What is more, with Shizuo's assets, we couldn't spend it all even in 10 lifetimes. Based on the education I've received since I was little, shouldn't I right now be quickly having a child for my husband, supporting him and raising our children? I don't get it. That unremarkable piece of advice was also quickly washed away by other bullet comments with lying flat pampered wife sweet pampering tags, envious that I had dog shit luck and hooked a super rich and also love-brained prince. Just when I thought all the bullet comments were about to disappear, my screen was suddenly spammed by all sorts of unfamiliar names, with the opening line being, "No matter when, a woman must have her own career." Right after that were basic principles of Marxism, number thought, and number theory. There were also others such as core socialist values, communism, ideological enlightenment, das Kapital, and so on, overwhelmingly flashing past my eyes. And with a thought, I tapped on core socialist values, and like opening a book, 24 large, scorching hot characters appeared. Prosperity, democracy, civility, harmony, freedom. There were even annotations in small print below. From then on, I opened the door to another world. After holing up in the study to read for 3 days and 3 nights, and finally figuring out all those terms, I immediately told Shizuyu my idea. I want to go into business. I thought he would be surprised, would stop me, and had even thought up over a dozen reasons to convince him. But he just said a single word. Okay, as if he had known my idea all along. That very afternoon he helped me find several industry leaders to teach me. How can there be someone in this world as good as you, Shizuyu? He got a little carried away and couldn't help but stand on my tiptoes and kiss his lips. Let's make up for our wedding night. He responded to me involuntarily, picked me up and placed me on the chaise lounge. But at the very last moment, he turned and ran away. Ate with the advanced business philosophy from the bullet comments, and Shizuyu entrusting his entire fortune to me. My business started off quite smoothly. In just a short half a year, I became #1 in the restaurant industry. Life's been going smoother than ever. The only slightly annoying thing is that Shizuyu seems to be intentionally avoiding me, as if he is afraid I am going to eat him alive. Waife, the water for your foot bath is ready. Remember to soak your feet. I am going to the study. Waife, don't kick off the covers tonight. I still have some business to take care of in the study. Waife, I'll help you with the accounts tonight, so I'll just sleep in the study. Waife, ever since that time I accidentally kissed him. He has always had all sorts of reasons to go stay the night in the study. At first, I was also a bit embarrassed, and didn't dare to stop him, thinking his body wasn't up to it, and that this act had hurt his self-esteem. Until one time when I got up early to bring him breakfast, I accidentally discovered him huffing and puffing at a painting. And so, under the temptation of all kinds of tiger and wolf words in the bullet comments, I learned quite a few green tea tricks for seducing men. For example, deliberately faking sickness, falling down, accidentally bumping into his chest, forgetting to wear a dudo because it is too hot and being seen by him, but he remained completely unmoved. It was as if the Shizuyu who fell into a frenzy over the painting that morning simply didn't exist. Wangfei Shizipei has brought osmanthus cakes to see you again, saying he has an important matter to discuss with you. Do you want to see him, or have him beaten out with sticks as usual? My thoughts were pulled back. I lazily got up, peeled a grape and put it into my mouth, and got even more annoyed. I don't know if PCUN has a screw loose. Back when I was begging and pleading for him not to leave, he was so resolute, not giving me a chance to react at all. But after I married someone else, he started using the excuse of being my older brother to come over every few days and shower me with attention. Today he'd send food, tomorrow clothes, the day after flowers and birds. The doorstep of this prince's manor is about to be worn down by him. The more I rejected him, the more enthusiastic he got, even calling it just an older brother's kindness towards his little sister. I was annoyed beyond belief, and eventually just ordered people to throw him out on sight. But I didn't expect him to still not give up his intentions. Just as I was about to go out and drive him away myself, I saw a bullet comment that said, "Hold on, sister protagonist. Here is a tool person served up on a platter. It'd be a waste not to use him. Aren't you always worried your husband isn't affectionate with you? Why not try this little sister's jealousy therapy? It is guaranteed to work." You just need to do this and that. After reading the bullet comment, I cleared my throat. I'll see him, but not here. Then I asked her, where is your prince right now? His Highness is in the study reading. Should I inform him? I shook my head. No need. First, take PCUN to the waterside pavilion. I'll be there after I change my clothes. That spot is the closest to Shizio's study, guaranteeing he'd be able to see every move of the brother-sister meeting between me and PCUN 9. I let down my hair, retied it in a bun, put on a bayao, wore the latest colorful lined shoe brocade skirt from my Guyo pavilion, even drew a plum blossom on my forehead with cinnabar, and went to see PCUN all dressed up. He was leaning against the railing feeding the fish, wearing the same style of arrow sleeves as Shiziyu. Maybe it was because the sun was too harsh, or maybe it was nervousness. He looked a bit listless, but he was still stunningly handsome, impossible to ignore. Half a year later, this was the first time since that absurd wedding that I'd so seriously and carefully sized him up. As a military general, his hearing was still sharp. He heard my footsteps from far away and turned around, overjoyed. He was looking at me, his face filled with stunned amazement. As if lost in some memory, he murmured to himself, she was clearly such a delicate girl, soft as if boneless. How could she suddenly become so bright and dazzling? How could it be? I pretended not to hear. Brother, you were looking for me. Is there something important? Only then did he snap out of it. You've finally come to see me willingly. I brought the osmanthus cakes you love the most. You seem to have changed. He was so excited he was a bit incoherent, wanting to grab my hand. I frowned, subconsciously wanting to shake it off, but I abruptly stopped my movement the moment I saw the window of Shiziyu's study being opened. Seeing I didn't refuse, Peisiyuan pushed his luck, grabbing a piece of osmanthus cake and feeding it to my mouth, looking at me with a face full of expectation. It took me 3 months of learning to make this. It is really delicious. You've gone to a lot of trouble, elder brother. I held back my nausea and forced myself to take a bite. I glanced sideways at the study's window and found it was closed again. It seems this jealousy therapy isn't working on Shizuyo. I instantly lost the mood to continue playing along with PCUan. I stood up to see him out. I'll accept this osmanthus cake. If you have nothing else, elder brother. Shouldn't you head back? Don't keep Miss Shu waiting. Otherwise, she'll be coming to my door again. Speaking of this, I understood PCUan even less. For the past 6 months, he has always been pretending to be deeply in love, coming to my door to pester me whenever he has a moment. But that hasn't stopped him and Xu Ying from riding horses and singing loudly, going on spring outings and boating on the lake. I even heard that Xu Ying has recently moved into the Marquis Xuanping's residence, and everyone has already tacitly accepted her as the young mistress of the Marquis's household. But PCUN keeps delaying his proposal to old General Xu, and instead runs over to my place every other day. As for Xu Ying, she just chuckles, insisting that she and Pei Siyuan are just close friends, and that she doesn't mind the brother-sister affection between us, only finding various excuses to come over and take Pei Siyuan away. But for some reason, she was late today. I looked all around, silently praying in my heart for her to appear quickly and take him away. But Pei Siyuan thought I was jealous of Xu Ying. Not only was he not upset, but the smile on his face grew even wider. Catching me off guard, he pulled me into his embrace. You still can't let go of that incident, can you? I knew it. You still have me in your heart. Stop being mad. Okay, divorce the Prince of Qi. All right, let's get back together. As for that incident, just consider it a moment of foolishness on my part. Forgive me, okay? I am begging you, give me another chance. I swear, I will definitely never let you down again. I was so disgusted I felt like throwing up my breakfast. I struggled free and slapped him right across the face. Pei Siyuan, are you sick in the head? Is the Divine Spear Camp being disbanded or something, that you have nothing better to do than to run over to my place and act crazy every day? I'll say it again. It has been over between us for a long time, and there is absolutely no possibility of reconciliation. I don't believe it. We had so many wonderful times together. I don't believe you can really be so heartless. You are just still angry. It is all right. You don't have to get a divorce. I'll take you away from this den of tigers and wolves. We'll go to a place where no one knows us and start over. As he spoke, he tried to pull me again, wanting to forcibly take me away. I was scared to death and hurriedly ran toward Shizu's study, shouting Shizu's name as I ran. But it was as if he didn't hear me, letting PCUN catch up. Finally, Shizu came out, but he didn't even glance at me. Instead, pointing behind him, he accused PCUN, saying, "She is carrying your child. How can you have the heart to treat her like this?" Following the direction he was pointing, I saw Xu Ying standing there in a daze. Me heart sank, and suddenly I had a very bad premonition. I saw her standing there, wearing Shizu's outer coat, tearfully looking at PCUN, who was about to come forward and pull me, with a look of heartache on her face. The moment she saw me, she rushed over. "I am going to kill you. You number. Just as the dagger in her hand was about to pierce my heart, PCUN stood in front of me. "Xu Ying, are you crazy?" She hurriedly changed direction, but still wouldn't let up on me. "A Yuan, get out of the way. I know the person you love most in your heart has always been me. You were just temporarily bewitched by this vixen. As long as I kill her, everything will go back to normal." Her martial arts were better than PCUan's, and soon, PCUan couldn't hold her off anymore. Finally, Shizuo, who had been standing on the side watching the show, made his move. He snatched Xu Ying's dagger away and pulled her tightly into his arms. "A Ying, don't be like this. She is innocent. You Shizuo now, are even you going to betray me?" Xu Ying sent him flying with a palm strike, pointed at me and cursed angrily. "What kind of magic does this enchantress from the countryside have, to make every last one of you so bewitched by her, that you all have to go against me for her sake? Don't forget, back then you only married this bitch so that I could marry a Yuan smoothly. Don't tell me that after playing the part for so long you've actually fallen in love with her." In that moment, I thought it was absurd. But on careful thought, it seemed like all of Shizu's inexplicable kindness towards me before now had an answer. "I didn't, a Ying." He glanced at me, seemingly having made some kind of resolution. "Don't worry, even if everyone in the world betrays you, I will not betray you." Then he put the dagger back into Xu Ying's hand and made way. In the end, it was because Xu Ying was overcome with rage, had abdominal pain and started bleeding, that I managed to get my life back. Shizuo left carrying Xu Ying, and before he went, he didn't forget to tie up Pei Siyuan and take him away. I don't know how long I was there in a daze until the rain poured down, drenching me completely, and only then did I climb to my feet. Although the facts were already laid out there, I was still unwilling to believe my own ears and eyes. I wanted to escape, but I didn't know where to go. Suddenly I remembered that painting of Shizu's perhaps. There were always signs. It is just that my eyes were blinded and I couldn't see the truth. For the first time without a guard's announcement, I barged into Shizu's study. The tea on the table was still warm, and that painting box that held his every joy and sorrow was placed within arm's reach. The moment the painting scroll was unrolled, the last shred of wishful thinking in my heart was gone. The person in the painting looked heroic and valiant, their red robes fluttering, a long spear dancing in their hand. If it wasn't Xu Ying, who else could it be? 11 The bullet comments revived when I opened that painting of Xu Ying. Woo, the female lead sis is so pitiful. I really didn't expect this passerby male supporting character would actually be this kind of person. And to think I thought he was the best man in the world. Is he blind? Obviously our female lead is much more beautiful than the villainous female supporting character. Okay, number, poster above. You don't know. This passerby male supporting character is actually the villainess's secret admirer. In the original plot, he had no scenes at all. The author just mentioned him in passing in the female supporting character's extra chapter. And in the end, he was the one who collected her body. Everyone hated the villainess so much they gritted their teeth, and they all skimmed through the main text. Who would bother reading her extra chapter, so no one discovered it, let alone the female lead? Weren't we also deceived by his innocent and sincere facade? Summonon tried to comfort me. It is okay, isn't he just a passerby male supporting character? If he is rotten, He is rotten. Sis, you are the female lead. Without him, we still have the Tan Hualang male lead number 2. The Zhonggu swordsman male lead number 3. The Western regions prince male lead number 3. Any one of them is better than these 2 scumbags. I wanted to laugh, but I couldn't bring myself to. 12 Shu Ying's child couldn't be saved. It was said to be 3 months along and had already started to take human form. The matter blew up, alerting old General Shu, who had already retired from the army and returned to his hometown, to personally go to the Marquis of Xuanping's residence to demand an explanation, threatening that if Pei Siyuan didn't marry Shu Ying, he would kill him to get revenge for his maternal grandson. At first, Pei Siyuan refused to the death, but later, somehow, he agreed. But he had one condition. On the day of the wedding ceremony, I had to be present to witness their marriage, which almost angered old General Shu to death. But he stubbornly refused to budge. 12 Shiziyu finally bothered to come home, but he was actually here to be a persuader for Shu Ying. That day, after he casually said, sorry, he never returned home, and had been living at the Shu residence, personally serving Shu Ying. So busy he couldn't tell day from night, thinking he could use the opportunity to get ahead. But he never expected that what he'd get was the news of Shu Ying's impending marriage to Pei Siyuan. He stumbled in, holding a wine pot, and a strong stench of alcohol hit you right in the face, making one's head feel groggy. My fingers never stopped fiddling with the abacus. I just glanced at him from the corner of my eye. He walked up to me and stood still, his fingers ceaselessly rubbing the wine pot, seemingly deliberating on how to start talking to me. I took the divorce papers I had prepared long ago from the drawer of the accounting desk, and told him, I know what you want to say. I agree to it. You just have to sign your name on this. I am sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you. He stared blankly at the divorce agreement for a long while, then suddenly put down the wine bottle, came around behind me, and tried to hug me. I admit, the reason I married you back then was to get you, this stumbling block, out of the way so that Ying could get her wish. But at that time, your stubborn and brave figure was also deeply imprinted in my heart. For you, I used my power to force Marquis Xuanping to recognize you as his daughter, extorted a hefty dowry from him, talked back to the Empress Dowager, angered my elder brother, and made you my primary wife. I served you tea and water, washed your clothes and folded your blankets, and even spent my entire fortune to make you happy. Can't all of this offset this tiny bit of deception towards you? I stood up from the chair, went around to the front of the table, blocked him with the abacus, and said with a smile, oh, please don't. You and I were just strangers who met by chance. You married me for the sake of your beloved, and I only grabbed onto you as a life-saving straw because I was angry that Pei Siyuan had gone too far. I didn't have any expectations to begin with. You did all these things only because you had deceived me. Your real intention was that you felt guilty and wanted to compensate me. That is all, but I misunderstood your good intentions, became wishful, and got foolishly attached to you. Now that the truth is out and your beloved is about to get her wish, Shiziyu, you don't need to wrong yourself anymore by acting with me. Seemingly not expecting my reaction to be so strong, he looked at his empty hands, then at the long abacus lying between us, and asked me, somewhat lost in thought, do we really not have even the slightest chance anymore? No. I shook my head. If I say I was still wavering before, then the moment you put the dagger back into Shu Ying's hand, everything between us vanished into thin air. 13, half a month later, Shiziyu and I officially divorced, and I returned home. Because Shiziyu felt guilty. Not only did he allow me to take away the dowry I'd extorted from the Marquis of Xuanping's residence, and all the businesses we operated together, he even gave me more than half of the assets from Prince Qi's residence. The bullet comments were all urging me to accept it quickly, afraid I'd do something stupid and refuse even the money because I had a falling out with Shiziyu. If it were the old me, that was a real possibility. But now, I just silently took out a blank document. For such a big deal, you can't do without proof. It has to be written down clearly in number. Number black characters. Of course, I wouldn't take his benefits for free. I will definitely do my best on the things I promised him. And I also put the word out that if there is anything he needs my help with in the future, he should feel free to find me. No matter what, he is still a prince. As long as we don't talk about feelings, he is a pretty good guy in all other aspects. Before I grow into a big tree myself, he is a very good connection. If I want to develop and grow for the short term, it is inevitable. I'll still have to borrow his influence, so it is best if we can remain friends for now. After settling and handing over everything, I took all my treasures and went home happily. But when my parents found out that Shizuyu and I had divorced, they didn't even let me in the door. Right there at the entrance, they struck palms with me as a pact and severed our father-daughter relationship. He said I was defiant towards my husband, unvirtuous and unfilial, and unworthy of being a daughter of the Shen family anymore. In reality, he was just afraid that offending Shizuyu would affect my younger brother, who had only managed to study at the Imperial Academy with great difficulty by relying on Shizuyu's influence. I had no choice but to tearfully take my treasures and head back to Cinnamon Moon Pavilion, where I ate 2 large plates of stir-fried crayfish through my tears, which eased my sadness a little. After that, I stayed behind closed doors to replan my future. I planned to leave the Imperial City, this place of trouble and strife, and go to the countryside. I want to support myself and also spread the knowledge and ideas I've gotten from the bullet comments to the countless people who are as insignificant as me, but still want to be the masters of their own destiny. It wasn't until the day of Pei Siyuan and Xu Ying's grand wedding that I went out for the first time. 14 on the day of Pei Siyuan and Xu Ying's grand wedding, all the powerful and noble people in the entire capital came. Although Shizuyu's deep affection for Xu Ying still didn't win him the beauty's hand, he finally managed to get the title of a brother, able to carry her on his back and personally hand her over to Pei Siyuan. But who would have thought an accident would suddenly happen? Treat her well. Just a moment before, he couldn't control his emotions and tearfully handed Xu Ying's hand over to Pei Siyuan. The very next moment, while serving tea to their parents with Xu Ying, Pei Siyuan, without any regard for her dignity, abandoned her and walked straight toward me. I sensed something was wrong and bolted, but Pei Siyuan still caught up with me. He blocked my way and knelt on one knee. Back then, because I abandoned you on our wedding day to leave with Xu Ying, you married someone else out of spite and absolutely refused to forgive me. Today, I also pretended to agree to marry her. And on this wedding day, in front of all the wedding guests, I abandoned her, making her lose all her face. This way, are you willing to give me another chance? What kind of logic is this? Although angsty novels sometimes don't need logic, but this male lead is just too unhinged. Psycho, the female lead is so pitiful for getting stuck with these 2 unhinged guys. As Pei Siyuan's voice fell, more and more people gathered around me, and I had no time to look at the bullet comments anymore. The servants of the Marquise's manor, the guards of the Shu manor, and the secret guards of Prince Chi's manor, all slowly swarmed towards me. I believe that right now, if I say just one wrong word, any random person could immediately make my head fall to the ground. Pei Siyuan is really trying to get me killed, huh? Thinking everyone is like me, with no one to rely on, able to be kneaded and shaped at will. At this critical juncture, I didn't have time to think, and could only prostrate myself fully, kneeling down. You are joking, elder brother. This little sister forgot about that matter long ago and has never held a grudge against you. Now Rong Yue only hopes that you and sister-in-law will grow old together and live in mutual respect. I beg you, elder brother, to be merciful. Spare this little sister, spare Rong Yue's worthless life. But that moron Pei Siyuan, as if he couldn't read the situation or understand what people say, insisted that I admit I still had feelings for him. He was holding a silver spear and was about to help me up. Yue, don't be afraid this time. Even if it means making an enemy of the whole world, I won't let go of your hand again. Yue, get up. Back then, you were willing to risk offending the Marquise's mansion just to break off our engagement out of spite. Even I was impressed when I heard that. So how have you become such a wimp today? Trust me, Yue, you beast. Before he could finish speaking, his shoulder was pierced by the folding fan in the hand of the enraged Shizuyu. What was even more unexpected was that when Xu Ying saw Pei Siyuan get injured by Shizuyu, she actually stabbed Shizuyu with her spear. Shizuyu, who allowed you to hurt Pei Lang. But Pei Siyuan paid no heed to this and still came to take my hand. Yuer, get up. Don't say any more, ancestor. I felt like the sky was falling, picked up the stone slab beside me and smashed it down on the back of Pei Siyuan's head. With a bang, the world suddenly went quiet. You, looking at the brick I was holding in my hand. Pei Siyuan collapsed in disbelief. I quickly shouted, "My brother is drunk and talking nonsense. Someone come quick and help him back to his room to rest." Marquis Schwamping reacted quickly, cupped his hands, and chimed in. Yes. My son drank too much, is talking nonsense, and has made a fool of himself in front of everyone. Soon, someone carried Pei Siyuan away. It is still early now. Everyone please eat and drink first. We can hold the ceremony after my humble son sobers up. It won't be too late. Everyone, please start eating. Please eat. Old General Shu was so angry he was about to leave his seat on the spot, but was stopped by a look from Xu Ying. Unexpectedly, even after Pei Siyuan had slapped her in the face so publicly, Xu Ying was still willing to marry him. It truly is incomparable true love. I was just sighing. But to my surprise, after she took the red-tasseled spear from Shizuyu's shoulder, she said something into his ear and then hurried down to look after Pei Siyuan. Shizuyu stared at Xu Ying's back for a long time, then suddenly turned back to look at me. And I had already taken the opportunity to make a run for it, because I saw the shape of Xu Ying's mouth say, "Kill Shen Rongyue." 16 in the end. Shizuyu still found me, but he didn't come to kill me, but rather to make peace with me. That shot from Xu Ying pierced through his illusions, and this time, he no longer listened to her, but rather, out of despondency, he decided to go to his fiefdom and never return to the capital, and he hoped that I could go with him. After weighing the pros and cons, I rejected his request for reconciliation, but accepted the suggestion to go to Liangzhou with him. Although, theoretically speaking, if I wanted my business to flourish everywhere, naturally the closer to the imperial city, the better. But I have no power or influence. The reason I was lucky enough to succeed before was also because Shi Ziyu was there. If I lost his protection, it would be like a child walking through a bustling market holding a gold ingot. So I had long planned to leave the imperial city and go to the countryside. I just hadn't decided on a destination yet. As it happened, Shi Ziyu just gave me a specific place name. 7 years later, Shi Ziyu died of illness at the Prince of Qi's residence in Liangzhou, because he missed Xu Ying too much, while I, with the support of all the people of Liangzhou, became the new master of this land, Queen Shen Rongyu of Liangzhou. Simply because, during these 7 years, I built bridges and paved roads for them, ensuring everyone had enough to eat and warm clothes to wear. Every family built a new house, and every household had surplus grain. I let their children, regardless of gender or wealth, be able to read and write, to be knowledgeable and well-mannered. The imperial court naturally wouldn't recognize this absurd enthronement and sent Pei Siyuan and Xu Ying, this loving couple, to come and suppress the bandits. While Shizuyu was alive, Xu Ying used him in all sorts of ways and tossed him aside when she was done. Yet when the news of his death reached the imperial city, she had a sudden repentant realization that the one she truly loved was actually Shizuyu. And that toward Pei Siyuan, it was just a matter of being unwilling to accept defeat. So, filled with endless regret, before the imperial edict even got home, he charged into Liangzhou all by himself and committed suicide in front of Shizuyu's tomb to join him in death. And as for Pei Siyuan, while entering Haining Pass, he was shot to death by my men with a volley of arrows in the rolling yellow sands. Although he kept shouting, "I am here to protect you, Yuer," but I still raised my gun without any hesitation and shot a bullet into his heart, because the current Shen Rongyu is no longer that soft and weak poor girl from the past, who only knew how to cry and wail when faced with trouble, who could only pin her hopes on a person who forced himself to be strong, praying for someone to uphold justice for her, who was helpless and alone, her life like a drifting duckweed, but rather the queen of Liangzhou, who has her own army, caravans, people, land, and new ideas, new philosophies, and new weapons from another world. She doesn't need his so-called love, which is in fact a harmful fake protection. End of full text.